fashion.
What up, guys? It's Decade here. Free Bobby.
The
We're
holidays
gonna
are a time
be
for family meetings.
we're gonna be reacting to some scary short stories. So if you're scared, follow you. I will go. Make sure to subscribe to Decade. Let's get into the video.
It's the time of the year where we have a big appetite for all our home-cooked favorites, but beware of the entities that have a big appetite for you. The holidays were always a big deal in the Escobar household because it was a time for festive feasts. Giselle and her younger brother Paulo.
Wait. What's that thing right there? The rice? That don't look like rice though. Nah.
Gorged themselves on all the food
But you be eating though. You be eating hard stuff.
their grandmother made, despite the story she told about La Pisadera. They were innocent if they fell asleep with their bellies too full. Their grandmother claims the hag punished gluttons by crawling on their chests at night and feeding off their fear, all while they helplessly watched half awake. Giselle knew their grandmother only told them stories like that to scare them, but as she watched, her skinny younger brother scarfed down a third helping. She couldn't
Nah, he gonna die. We all know he gonna die.
figure out how he could eat so much and still look so frail. You okay? Giselle asked. Paolo shrugged. I'm just tired and very hungry. I had nightmares again last night. That night, in their room, Paolo fell asleep in his bed almost as soon as the lights went out, but Giselle couldn't sleep. She was worried about her too skinny brother and his too big appetite. As she stared at the ceiling, she suddenly heard someone moving through the house. It sounded too slow and deliberate to be one of her relatives. With a slow creak, she heard their bedroom door open. The hairs on her neck stood up, and she felt something coming closer. From the corner of her eye, she saw clawed fingers reaching out. A voice laughed softly, and then someone quickly jumped over.
If this time I ain't even gonna see the hands, I'll be already out of the house. I'll be already calling the police. I will be out.
For Giselle. Paolo. Giselle gasped when she saw the figure climb on top of her brother. It was a long, slender, haggard, demonic-looking woman with filthy claws. It bent in contortions to perch on Paolo.
Hey! Get a freaking baseball bat and smack it in the head. It's eating your son. You just gonna look at it?
Chest. Paolo, move! Giselle shouted. And with that, the demon turned to her with a jagged smile. It was La Pisadera. Giselle jumped out of bed and pulled on her brother, but La Pisadera pushed her to the floor. The girl landed on her back, and the hag was on her in an instant. Giselle's body became numb. All she could do was watch in paralyzed horror as claws dug into her chest. La Pisadera moved its wretched face close to Giselle's. As Giselle's terror grew, the creature's milky yellow eyes glowed brighter. Eventually, La Pisadera left their room, and the two siblings slowly fell back into an unrestful sleep. The next
Sleep? Haha. I ain't even gonna sleep for years if I see that.
morning, Giselle asked Paolo if he remembered what happened that night. He shook his head while he kept on eating more and more cereal. Giselle was exhausted and very hungry too, as she poured herself another bowl of cereal. Something is wrong, their grandmother said as she brought them juice. Giselle looked at her brother and they both began to cry. We ate too much last night, Giselle explained. La Pisadera came, just like you said. Their grandmother snatched their food away and sent them to their room. No more for you today, she said. That night at dinner, Giselle and Paolo were surprised to see the neighbor's kid, Alejandro, at the dinner table. Their grandmother told him he would be staying the night with them. Giselle and Paolo watched as their grandmother filled Alejandro's plate and only gave them half portions. They were so
Yeah, if they want to live, they should get half portions.
hungry, and watching Alejandro feast was agony. The siblings both asked for more food, but their grandmother ignored them as she offered the neighbor his second dessert. That night, both Giselle and Paolo stared at the ceiling of their room, unable to sleep from being so hungry. Meanwhile, Alejandro slept on a cot, snoring happily. Eventually, they heard the laugh of La Pisadera.
Yeah, the thing is back. Yeah, the thing is back. It's gonna eat them all, like, totally.
As she crept into their room. The hag leapt onto Giselle's chest and once more tried to feast on the girl's fear. After a moment, it hissed its disappointment and jumped onto Paolo, but found no sustenance. It sniffed the air and
Look at the nose, though. Look at the nose. Look at those crooked teeth. Bro, you even brush your teeth? Do you even use a hair straightener? Cause your hair be looking bad, though. Roasting time. Your teeth do be looking like butter. Oh, was that bad? Oh, sorry.
smiled as its eyes landed on the snoring Alejandro. Soon, the neighbor was half awake and paralyzed as the demon hag fed. That morning, a very tired and hungry Alejandro left their home complaining of nightmares. As their grandmother prepared them a sensible breakfast, Giselle and Paolo had many questions for her. She explained that an all-encompassing evil like La
What? What's a fruit dandy? Is that a papaya?
Pisadera cannot truly be defeated, only passed on to someone else. Those that overindulged before sleep were in fact
So they called that little boy so they could cast a demon on him. Yeah, I would do the same thing though.
ringing the dinner bell for the evil entity. And now that they knew the truth of it, to always be wary of gorging themselves on food, especially if you are someone else's guest.
That'll be it for today's video. Make sure to go and subscribe to Snarted and Whimsy Entertainment. These guys make the best short animated horror films. Make sure to subscribe to Decade. Peace out.